Okay, so here we are in Wordfast Pro 5, okay, working on a document. And if you go in your preferences here, you now find in machine translation, enable custom MT. And at the moment, there's not many fields in that because that's actively being developed. So more fields will be added to allow for more a higher variety of MTs to be connected. But at the moment, for example, this works very well with MyMemory. So what you need to do is paste here this exact text, okay, and paste here this exact text as well. And basically that will enable things to work together. So you click on OK, and then as you see here, I get custom MT suggestions, and I know they are coming from MyMemory because I just configured it that way. So as I said, it's early days, so that's still actively being developed. And in the future, there will be more ways to connect that in Wordfast Pro 5. And you may be already wondering, but where do I get that text so as to make that connection work? There may be some that will be published on forums or maybe on the wikis. And if you need to connect to a specific MT, the best is to get in touch with the MT you want to use, ask them what type of connection credentials they would need, like how the API works, the REST API and that sort of things, and then reach out to the Wordfast team to see if they can help you, and then come up with a way of filling up the fields and then have you on your way using this MT. So that is for using it with Pro. Now, a different tool in which you can use it is Wordfast Server. So with Wordfast Server, you can do exactly the same, but the fields are bigger. You can do more with the fields in there. So I'll open a different project to show you that. If you have been looking at my my YouTube channel, you may already be familiar with how to connect ModernMT through Wordfast Server in Wordfast Pro 5. So that's what's been done here. Okay, so here you go. So now we have a different project, and if I click here, I am getting what comes from a TM that I call mod test. But actually, this translation memory is within Wordfast Server, and it's not acting as a translation memory. It's fetching the answers to the translations I need done by ModernMT. So how do we get that result? Well, let's look at Wordfast Server. Let me get that ready for you. Okay, so I'll be demonstrating that in Wordfast Server in demo mode, because you can connect one translation memory, even if you are using the free demo version that is free for freelancers. So what you need to do is, first, you need to go to Setup, okay, and then click on Empty Engines. And this here is very interesting. So that's like the custom MT field that we've seen in Wordfast Pro 5, but now it's on steroids. So it has many different fields that you can fill up. So here is what you need to fill up for ModernMT. So you add these things here, and then you will add here your API key. And that should be good to go. You can test it. And there you go. I got an answer. So that is working. It's connected to ModernMT. So by default, when you are using that for the first time in Wordfast Server, you will get a template already made for you for MyMemory, here again. And as you can see, if you look in the fields between the differences that there are between MyMemory and ModernMT. So that's ModernMT. That's MyMemory. Yet again, ModernMT. So these are a lot of differences. And the reason for that is that every MT provider out there, they will have a different way to allow CAD tools to access to their services. So this means that each time the connector will need to talk with the MT in the specific way it works with them. So that's why it's a long development to have many custom MT, many dedicated MT connectors created inside CAD tools. So that's the beauty of the option of the custom MT, having the fields and then having that extra flexibility so that you can use any MT you want anytime. Now, some people, for example, may be working in connection with some universities. And there are universities that have their own MT machine translation program, and they may be developing a machine translation engine. They may be working on a language pair of a language that is spoken by not many people, and they are making efforts so that this language has a machine translation available for it, etc. You should be able to connect to such machine translations if the people that are programming them are designing them to be accessed from a CAD tool. So they could be used using that type of connector. Okay, so that's the flexibility you can get from this. Now, there is another CAD tool that does that very well also, and that's Wordfast Anywhere. So I will open now Wordfast Anywhere. So Wordfast Anywhere, if you're not familiar with it, it's a CAD tool that's web-based, and it works very, very, very well. Okay, let me share my screen again. So here we are in Wordfast Anywhere. And as we can see here, I have answers coming from MT, and they are coming from an MT called Custom One, and that is ModernMT. So that's interesting. Let's look at how this works. So here we go in MT. And here we can find all our empties. So that's this list can go on. You can add many, many, many empties so that you will get more lines added over here over time. And what you can do, for example, is add an empty engine. And here is a list. So you have some that are already made to be connected, okay? And then you have the custom ones. So you can select custom 1, which is already used. You can select custom 2. So let's go for custom 2. And here again, that looks a bit like what we've been doing with the custom connector in Wordfast Server. We see here many fields. So as you can see, they are slightly different from Wordfast Server. And that's for the same reason. Many, as we said, many MT providers, they have their own way to connect. And the same applies with CAT tools. Every CAT tool will have a slightly different way of connecting with an empty. So this is why you have those tiny differences here. Okay, so we have here our custom, and you get templates, which is nice. So you get here 3 templates, one for modern empty, which is very handy. So when you use that template, it goes and pre-fills all your fields. The same happens with a different type of Google engine, okay? And then you have the Intento platform as well. So once you have that configured, so for example here, for the 3 examples we've seen, if you want to connect modern empty, for example here, the only thing you will have to do is then to copy paste your API key here over the X's, and that's it. Then you click on save, and this is enabled. So this is very handy, and I will try to show you something else now that we have a few minutes. Very interesting because you can do many things with the Intento connector. And the Intento connector is a connector within a connector. What the Intento platform does is you will, for example, LSPs or even freelancers, they can use their system, they pay monthly, and they can use many MTs of their choice. So for example, with the Intento connection, now I can select directly among 30 MT providers that are there. Okay, so for example, for that language pair, I'm given the information that I have 30 MT providers available. They have a slight bit over 30 in total available, so that will depend on the language pair you're working. They have some that are based on Chinese, and so they have very, very good machine translations. And the beauty of that is moving from project to a different one. If you see that machine translation is better with some type of project, well, you can just switch, you know. You go in here, you change the MT provider you want to use so that it suits better your project. Some people, for example, may find DeepL superior with projects that have to do with German. And there you go. You can just select DeepL, click on save, and you will be using DeepL in your document. And that's very handy because you're just paying once, monthly, of course, but you don't have to pay to every provider. Just pay them, and then you can get all these done. And they have a system that is extremely fast as well. That can, if you are on a basic plan, you can translate 2,000 words per minute with that system. So they have a specific way to connect and send a lot of data to the MT. So if you want, for example, to first pre-translate fully a document you have before working on it, that will be very handy because you will save time, because that can be sometimes a very long process. That's the moment where you go make yourself a cup of coffee or that sort of things. So that's very interesting. And so that's it for what you can find in Wordfast Anywhere. And of course, we are left with 2 tools to discuss, which are Wordfast Pro 3. So in Wordfast Pro 3, at the moment, no custom MT connector, and there's no plans of adding one. And then, of course, you have Wordfast Classic. And Wordfast Classic will be discussed by Yves today. I have another session now in 10 minutes that I will start about the academic program. And I think after this one about the academic program, Yves will be showing Wordfast Classic, and he will show you also how to connect to a custom MT with that. So now, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can use the question box or you can use the chat box, and I'll be happy to take some of your questions. With Windows, it doesn't have to be if you mean Microsoft Windows, it doesn't have to be Microsoft Windows. If you are using Wordfast Server, yes, you need to be running Wordfast Server on a Windows machine. But Wordfast Pro 5 can be installed on Mac, on PC, and on Linux. And I know for a fact that the Windows version and the Mac version do work for the custom MT connector. Same thing happened with Wordfast Classic, works on Mac, works on PC, and Wordfast Anywhere, being browser-based, as long as you can access the internet and your screen is big enough to see what you're doing, you can use whichever you want. So if that was your questions about Windows, Veronica, well, there you go. Oh, if the MT is enabled by default, it is not, but it will depend on your CAD tool. For example, if you're starting with Wordfast Anywhere, you'd be asked at the beginning to enable or not an MT. And of course, if you're using custom MT, for sure, it will not be there by default when you're starting with a CAD tool. In Wordfast Pro, that's the same. If you want to be using MT, you have to go select it in the preferences. And then, of course, if you are using custom MT, you have to tick the box and fill the fields like we've shown in the beginning. So they are not necessarily enabled by default, and custom MT for sure, the connector is not enabled by default. Okay. Yeah, if you want to work with Modern MT, you will have to get on their website, okay, create an account, and like with every other MT providers now, you will have to put banking details in there to be able to try it. And then I can't remember if they still have a trial time. And then you will get your API key, and your API key, you will need to copy it and paste it then. And then you will be good to go. And like I said, with custom MT, if you go with something that hasn't been tried by others, so if you come up with, let's say you want to use Baidu, you know, so you will have to get in touch with them and ask them how it works to connect to the REST API. They may direct you to a page where it's explained online, and then you will have to approach the Wordfast team and ask them to help you connect your custom MT. And as time goes by, these things will be published, so you will have the examples that you can use easily. Yes, I see. So I have another question. I did create an account and it gave me only the API key, not the URL info. That's correct. You will get the URL info is somewhere else. And as I just said, it needs to be tailored a bit to be able to fit in Wordfast tools. Now, at the moment, in Pro, you won't be able to connect it directly in the custom MT field because it's lacking an extra field that is coming in next version. So you will be able to do it in the next version of Wordfast Pro 5, but not in this one at the moment. But if you connect it through Wordfast Server, that will work. I have a video published online that has everything that you need to copy paste. So you just need to add your API key. If you don't know my channel, it's FI2 Pro. FI2 Pro. And there you can find it. I've demonstrated it there. Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. and I hope that covered it. It's a bit fast, but it shows you what can be done and the opportunities this opens. Now I will be shortly closing this session, and I will be jumping on another one, talking about Wordfast academic program. So I was very happy to be able to be with you today and talk about these things. And I hope you will have a pleasant rest of the day. And if you're attending ATA, I'm sure you will have plenty to benefit from it too. And I will be seeing you soon. Okay, bye-bye.